Yeah.
Okay, so the church you're at now though is not the church that you grew up in.
No, no, it's
Different. So
not.
is this one a
Yeah.
Spanish speaking one you're at now?
No,
Okay,
no.
full English.
Full English.
Okay,
That was a big part of my story, because the church that I grew up in didn't agree with women preachers.
Mm.
And
gotcha.
I didn't know that that's what I was doing completely at the time. And so there was a decision that had to be made,
Right.
and the decision was made for me.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I spent like 4 years, not church, but still serving the Lord. Like that's when, the scriptures really started opening up
Right.
to me.
Right.
And so having those 4 years where I was by myself, like really just taught me the voice of God. And now I'm at a healthy church.
Yeah. Wait. So
That, yeah.
can we talk about that for a second?
Yeah, we
Are you
can.
talking about the Timothy scripture? Is that what they refer to?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
yeah.
How did you wrestle? I'm just going to pull it up, but how did you wrestle with that when it was all happening? I don't know how much you want to speak to it,
Yeah.
but
I mean, we can speak to it, but first of all, when I was like preaching in the high schools, so they really have this thing where it's like, women can speak to women and women can speak to youth, but you can't go beyond that. But I just thought, I was like, I'm just telling people about Jesus.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah, so
it
true.
wasn't like this thing for
no,
you.
Yeah.
It was like,
it wasn't like I had no point of reference of like any other church, because I never had even visited another church, or like conferences weren't even a thing for me. So when I left,
true. Yeah.
it was like, oh, like there's a whole different world
Yeah,
outside of this that
fully.
exists, and I had no idea. And so there wasn't even somebody that I was like pointing towards, like, oh, that's what I want to be like. I just knew God opened my eyes. I need to tell other people that their eyes could be opened.
Mm.
And so I started, when that whole thing was going on, when I started learning the Bible and all of that, like I was at my college and I would go to the student drop-off zones. And I
Okay.
would talk to people about Jesus.
Really?
Yeah.
You're
That's what I would do.
awesome.
I would go
Really?
to the parking lots and I would talk to people about Jesus.
Because you just had to.
I just had to.
Love
Because
that.
it's like, I cannot help but to speak of what I have seen and what I have
Mhm.
heard. Like that
Yeah,
verse came
wow.
alive for me.
Yeah.
And so I remember sitting like in, what was it, like a statistics class. And they were putting a graph up and I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Like, there's a world there that doesn't know who this Jesus is. And I'm here looking at graphs, I'm looking at numbers when I can be telling people about Jesus. I remember that I grabbed my stuff and I left, and I would go and I would just start speaking to students. And so because of that, at the same time, it was happening in tandem with me going into like my high school and preaching and the group growing.
Mm.
And so I guess I started preaching without knowing it.
Mm.
Right.
And my church didn't really know what to do with that. And neither did I, because I didn't know. It just happened.
You just love Jesus and
I-
wanted to
Yeah,
tell people
yeah,
about it.
yeah, literally.
That was basically it.
Yeah.
And so from there, like churches, because I was working with churches and like, helping them with their campus missions, I started going to their churches and speaking. And like, then that's when it became a problem,
Mm.
because it's like, oh, now you're going and you're preaching at.
Got
Other
you. But this is all
churches.
just happening organically. You're not like,
Yes.
I'm going to become a preacher.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
yeah,
no.
yeah.
They didn't even know that was a thing. Like,
Yeah.
I was still serving like as a Sunday school teacher. Like, and to this day, like if they hadn't told me to leave, I'd probably still be there.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, so you got told to leave.
Basically. Yeah. Like I won't get into like that. Like,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Like,
But essentially
yeah.
it was like, I've probably got to
Essentially,
go.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was either,
Oh, that
Amy,
sucks.
you kind of do this, or you leave, your high schools and what you've been at.
Hmm.
And it wasn't me choosing church or high schools. It was more me choosing obedience to what I've heard the Lord say in secret, even if I didn't know what was on the other side of that obedience.
Mm.
Because at that point, I still had no idea what I was doing. Like it was after that I stepped into going to Bible college. And even the Bible college I went to, I come to find out they didn't believe in women preachers either. And I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting.
Ay,
but
ay,
but I
ay.
went in not even trying to do that. I actually went in as an English major, because I was like,
Oh,
wow.
like if I'm really against you, Lord, like I'll just write books, because I always wanted to be an author. And so I was like, I'll be an English major. And it was one of the teachers at the school that I went to that actually sat me out and was like, hey, I know you want to do this, and it's probably not good for me to say this, but you're not an English major. I said, then what am I? He goes, you should be a Bible major, because you should be teaching the word of God.
Mm.
And at that moment, he kind of opened something in me where it's like, maybe I'm seeing this wrong. Maybe God is setting me aside to speak to a generation. And so during that time when I was learning the scriptures, like that school, I'll never regret it. I'm happy I went there because it taught me love for the scriptures and respect for the scriptures and keeping it in its right authority. And when I was trying to resonate this, I was like, oh God, like the first evangelist was a woman.
Mm.
It was a
Mhm.
Samaritan woman that said, come and see this man who told me
Mhm.
everything that I've ever did. And
Mhm.
I was like, so if Jesus didn't tell her to be quiet,
Mhm.
then why are we telling women to be quiet?
Preach, girl.
And so then I started thinking, and then the first woman that said, the first person that talked about the resurrection of Jesus was a woman. Why didn't Jesus stop her? Why did Jesus decide to reveal himself to her?
Right.
And so there was nothing that ever showed me outside of culturally, like in that verse,
Mhm.
that would keep me from saying that. Like there
Mhm.
was so much biblical just foundation around like women preaching, women speaking. And so I think that I would, if I'm wrong, then I'd rather say I'm wrong and that I spent my life talking about Jesus
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
being wrong for the wrong reasons because I wanted to appease what people believe God is capable of doing and who God is capable of using.
So you've explicitly had people say to you, you can't, you because you're a
100%.
female, you
Do
cannot
you-
preach.
100%.
Do you still get that like in your comments?
100%.
Oh, what's that
Girl.
like dealing with that? Like people like you're just
as-
posting scriptures.
Yeah. Well, what people didn't know when I did TikTok is that I had already been preaching for like 5 years prior.
Right.
So people saw like this person that jumped on TikTok thinking that's all that I did, but I had already been, speaking in church and all of that. And so I started seeing it. And I think because of what I went through at church, everything just became like, it melts away. I didn't really care. Like people can have their opinions of like whether I should or shouldn't. And I always tell them like, if you feel so strongly, I think that you should start preaching. Like
Yeah.
while you're spending time on comments,
Yeah.
like you should be preaching. And I'd love for you to preach because the more that we talk about Jesus, the more that the gospel gets out there. But I think that we spend so much time in conversations with Christians about things that aren't actually a salvational issue instead of making the main thing. And so it doesn't even bother me at this point. Like I will rarely take the time to scroll through comments.
Yeah.
I'll look at a few and I'll comment back, but for my own sanity to keep doing what I'm doing, it's either I look at it and I don't care or I just don't look at it at all.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What do you struggle most with in terms of like being in the public eye? Like you've got all these people that you don't know personally, but they
Yeah.
all follow you. Like, do you struggle with like comparison or like, do you like, what are some things? Cause I just know the reason I ask is that young people that watch this, their goal is to get famous on TikTok. Like their goal is to get eyes to look at them on
It's like
Instagram.
the number one thing kids in school
That's
want
what
to
they
do, like
care about.
TikTok, YouTube. Like
Yeah.
that's what they want to be now.
Yes,
Like
yes.
all of them.
Yeah.
They don't want to be filmmakers. They want to make like social media videos and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with like I mean, there's great positives and we'll talk about that, but how do you deal with the negative side to social media?
Well, I've kind of come down to this. Like, if God asked me to give it up today, I would. Because I didn't do it. I didn't push it forth. I didn't want it. He gave it to me. And so if
Yeah,
if
like
I
that.
feel attached to it in that way, then it loses its power that it's God ordained. And so I think what I've had to struggle the most, I think it's really hard for me to say because I never want to say that I'm functioning. If I believe that social media is a calling, I'm functioning that God's giving me that calling and God's shaping that calling. So comparison hasn't really been a thing. I would think it's more of like living to people's expectations and what they believe I should or should not be doing, should or should not be saying, should or should not be participating in,
Right.
and trying to hold the balance of like, God, where do you want me to insert myself and where do you not want me to insert myself? And so because I've been like in that preaching stage for that amount of time, like I think that I've gotten to learn and discern the voice of God of like what he wants me to put myself into, and learning like if there's certain things I choose to stay quiet on,